This is Tim Wallace, and on our topic OBS and built-in laptop microphone. This is another video for the Nomad Funnelhacker. We are continuing our look at the basics of Systeme.io. And last time we did a video about the sections, and today we're going to look at the rows. So for starters today, we are not going to start out in Systeme.io. We're going to start out in ClickFunnels, and this is its current version of ClickFunnels, formerly known as ClickFunnels 2.0. And the reason I want to do this is because rows kind of work differently in Systeme.io than they do in ClickFunnels or Go High Level. If you're used to those other funnel builders, it can be a little confusing at first, but it's easy enough to figure out. So this is a funnel that was auto-generated by an AI funnel builder. It's built into ClickFunnels. It's basically, what you're basically looking at is what the AI spit out. It still needs a lot of work. But here we have a 2-column row. And in ClickFunnels, if we want to adjust individual column settings, we'll use this column here. We can click on the gear icon, and it says column at the top. So what we do will only affect this column. And what I'm going to do is turn on the background and just add a light gray background color like that. And that's basically how it works in ClickFunnels, is you have individual column controls that are built in with a visible column setting gear icon. And although I don't currently have Go High Level, it pretty much, I believe, had the same or similar type system. So that's all we need to look at in ClickFunnels, just for a comparison of how it works versus how it works in Systeme.io. Okay, so we're back to Systeme.io, and I'm going to go to my websites category and go to my sales funnel. We will be going to the same test one sales funnel we've been using. Go to edit page, and we're looking at the same page that we left off with after I did the video about the sections in Systeme.io. With the rows, what we're going to do is go ahead and stay in the same section here. You see we do have a 2-column row here, and you can tell it has the blue outline. So it's a row, and it's 2 columns. Let's say we want to add another row underneath this current row. So first of all, one thing you could do is you could duplicate this row. In other words, clone it using the clone tool. And that's just going to create a duplicate of what you already had. And that's not really what we wanted. So we'll get rid of that by clicking the trash can icon. But you can duplicate rows, and sometimes that is useful. Just not in this case. All right, so we're back to where we were. Now, let's say we wanted to add below this row a 3-column row. But we have this column layout section, and includes these columns, and then it has a row. It also has the one for the section. Now, if I want to do a 3-column row, I'm not going to go to the row icon. I'm going to go to the icon that says 3 columns. Now, if I just click on that, it's going to immediately scroll down to wherever there's a 3-column row on the page, if at all. If I want to actually put it in the section, I need to grab it, put it here, and there should be like a blue line like that, telling us that we're ready to drop it. And there we go. We have our 3-column row. We have our outline there. And so now we need to put something in the row. So I am going to just put headlines in there, which will be fine for our explanation. Okay, so now we have a 3-column row. Now, first of all, we can adjust the width of individual columns by grabbing that handle right there, like that. Be a little tricky sometimes, and it can be a little touchy sometimes, but you can adjust things that way. In fact, let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and drop this one like that. This one over here like that. So that's not too complicated. The next thing is we can adjust the position that our elements have within a row. So right now we're at top. We can go to the middle. We can go to the bottom. Generally, you're going to start out at the top, but if you want to center something, like we want to center that, we would go with the middle position. But let's go ahead and return to top for now. Now these ones in the side where the rows are smaller, you're not going to notice any difference because there's so much space. They're already occupying that space because it's a 2-column right there. We would need to add some padding or something to do that, which we're not going to do right now. So far, so good. Now, as far as backgrounds, we need to select our row. And you see up here, we have it say row, and it's lit up in the blue arrow, which means that's what's active right now as far as our controls. And similar to the section, we have controls for our margin and our padding. Right now, the margin is set to 0, padding is 10. We can click on this other icon and adjust our margins. And because everything's white right now, you're not going to see much. But we can adjust those margins. Or if we want to get back to 0, our base settings, we can just click the square. Same thing with the padding. We can increase our padding if we want to, for top, bottom, and sides. Or we can choose the square, and that will return us to our default setting of 10, which is the default set in System.io. Now we have other things we can do. We can add a background color. So let's go ahead and add some kind of background color to here. Let's go with this light green here. Actually, let's try the gray. Don't like that here. We'll go with the blue. Okay. Notice that when we do that, it's the whole background of the row that changes color. This is important because we are going to explain how to adjust that by columns later on. Now we also could put a background image in there. Normally you're not going to use a background image in a row, but you can. So for example, let's get rid of the color for right now. Let's go ahead and go to our images, and I am going to just choose this mountain image here and insert it. And you see we have that in the background of the row. Let's go ahead. And once we do that, this panel is going to come up, which gives us a choice where how we want it to display, where it's full center fix. I'll probably go into the display image control in another video more deeply, but right now just know that once you put a picture in, it exists. We're going to go ahead and get rid of the picture. We'll go ahead for right now and put in a color. We'll go with our blue again. Now we're also able to add shadow. So we'll choose a hard shadow. It's hard to tell, maybe hard to tell, but there is this sort of shadow on the outside of the row. Let's try a blurry shadow. It's a little more noticeable. All these shadows are presets. There's no way in System.io of beyond the presets, unless you're using CSS, which we are not going to use in this set of videos. We're going to strictly stick to what's within the editor, but you could do it that way. Now, another thing we can do is adjust our corner radius, which is going to put a curve on the corners. So right now, again, like our controls for the padding and margin, we're set to 0 and equal on all sides. If we choose this other icon, we can individually select different radiuses to different corners. Now, I don't like the fact that they didn't label these. That's kind of inconvenient, but that's the way it is at the moment. And I always like to point out the good, the bad, and ugly. Let's go back to our all corners. If we come here and we'll put in 10 pixels, now you notice that there's a curvature to the corners. It's a little hard to see because we still got a border there. Let's get out of that. Okay, you can see it more clearly now. Let's go ahead and select our row again. Now, in addition to that, you can choose to have your corner be none, and for styling, solid. And this is actually under the section of border, truthfully. The corner radius is contained within that control. So you can have a solid line, a dotted line, or a dashed line. Now, it's not showing up that well right now because actually our pixels aren't very big here. So let's go ahead and increase our width of our pixels to 5. Now it becomes more apparent. That was my fault for not doing that first. So you have your dash line. So you have your dash border, your dotted border, your solid line border, or none. So just remember that your corner radius is actually a sub-function of your border control. But you don't have to show a border. You can just show the curvature by leaving your style to none. Now, the other thing we can do, going back to our corner radius, is if we choose the individual settings, we can play with this. So let's take this one, which is our upper left-hand corner. So we just changed the upper left-hand corner to 0. And let's change this one to 0 as well. This should be the, well, no, this is actually going to be the lower left-hand corner. And that's why I don't like going, and that's why I don't like that they didn't label these. So let me try this one here. There we go. All right. So you see how now we have 0 curvature on the upper left-hand corner and the lower right-hand corner. Now, if we want to exaggerate that effect, let's make these and I'm doing this just to really show what you can do if you want to play around and be artistic. So if we make our lower left-hand corner and our upper right-hand corner 50 pixels in curvature, then we can get an effect like this. And if we decide we don't like that, we just go back here and click on the square. It returns everything to our main setting of 50 right now. And then you see how that does with the row. It gives it an oval appearance. We really don't want that, so we're going to go back to 0. So far we've covered quite a lot, but there's one thing that we haven't covered. That's how you adjust a column individually. And I gave you the ClickFunnels example at the start so you can understand how it is different doing that in System.io. So we are going to select our row. And we're going to go to the middle section first. So we need to actually get out of the row. And we're going to do this with the middle section first. I think actually here we want to go ahead and move these dividers inward again. And then let's go and get rid of the background color. So it's just white again. Now, if I want each one of these columns to have a different background color, I can't do it with the row controls because the background color affects the whole row. So what I need to do is go back out to my elements panel and go to this icon that says row and drop it within here like that. You're going to see another little box here where the row is. And then we need to take our text headline and move it into the row. So basically, we start out with a 3-column row using the 3 columns icon. But now we're going to add a row within that 3-column row. When we do this, and you see how we have a row here, and we got a row there. And actually our row went upwards, so we need to get our thing in there like that. And it's kind of hard to see sometimes because you got your row there and you got your row there. All right, so let's select this row that's within a row. And then go to our background. And we will give this the peach color. Just like that. And then let's go to this one here. And we're going to do the same thing. Drop a row in. You need to put our text within the row. And of course, we still have the 3-column row outside of that. So let's select the row. And we will make this blue. And then on this one, we will also add 20 pixels to our corners. Okay, so you see we have styled this row different from this row. And then the same thing if we want to do that for the middle. Now, be careful because if you press row, it's going to try to go to the next row. So you need to actually grab this and place it there. All right, so we got a row there within our 3-column row. We can select our row. This time we will select another color. Let's go with the gray. Actually, I don't like the gray. Let's go with the white instead. And then we can add shadow. Let's do a hard inner shadow. All right, so you can see that we've been able to style each column with a different color background doing that. So that is how the rows and the columns work in Systeme.io. Now, it's not particularly hard to style individual columns within a row in Systeme.io, but if you're coming from another funnel builder like Go High Level or ClickFunnels, it does take a little bit of rethinking how you do things. That is going to be the video on how rows work in System.io. My name is Tim Willis. I'm a certified click-funnel funnel builder. I make tutorial and demonstration videos on sales funnel building, web page design, market research, and all the tools we use to accomplish those things. That's the video for now. I'll talk to you later.